Off and on the clock, we are here on this fine Wednesday to do what we do best, and that is draft. The NFL lobby is surprisingly getting full on Underdog here, still in the dead of winter. The peeps over at Underdog heard our prayers. We have a $100 free max contest up on Underdog, the biggest board. We're going to do one of those drafts today, so stay tuned for that. We'll also try to sneak in a rookies and sophomores draft, which recently dropped. And of course, we will talk a little scroll the F down in NFL news. It's Pete with John and Nez. Let's roll. All right. Nez, John, for some reason, it feels like we've lived a lifetime since we did this show last week. But with the way NFL news flies, the board, I would say, has been flipped on its head a few times.
And then some, right? I was just thinking the same thing. Honestly, it's kind of funny. It's like, man, like, did we skip a week on this show? Like, I had to go back and make sure that Justin Fields to the Steelers didn't happen. Like, when we actually did that show, it feels like every time we come on here, the Steelers have done just something unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, assembling a quarterback room, if you would have told people, 2-3 years ago that you could have Justin Fields and Russell Wilson for a 6th round pick and $2 million, people would have had their, eyes roll out of their head.
Yeah, we love it. We love it over here.
It honestly is I think it's it sucks for Russ and Fields, personally, but for the Steelers in general, I think it's just such a big win and looks so poorly for so many of these other teams out there. I mean, Raiders, Patriots. I mean, we could come up with a handful of what are you guys doing? How are you not kicking the tires on that?
Well, it's because they care so much about Justin Fields.
I mean, if you're the Patriots and say, I know there's some stuff that the Commanders might go Jaden Daniels too, but say the Patriots get Jaden Daniels. I mean, wouldn't Justin Fields be the perfect guy to have in there with him early on, have a little QB battle with them? If not, you have an awesome backup quarterback. You're telling me you couldn't muster up, a non-conditional 4th or a 5th round pick to make that happen?
Yeah, it surprised me. Sorry, John, I cut you off there.
No, the one that you brought up there to me that was the most surprising is the Raiders one. It's as much as I love Gardner Minshew and love the story of Gardner Minshew, to pay him what they did and give him guaranteed money to compete with AOC when you could just do what I never renowned the Steelers as a crazy sharp organization, but this looks hella sharp compared to giving Minshew money to compete with AOC, and you get the veteran and the high upside in Fields.
Yeah, I'm on record as being a hardcore Fields apologist, and I'm reeling that back in real time. I've been pretty quiet throughout this whole off season, but I find it a little hard to believe that nobody wanted to take a chance on him. That really surprises me. And with a team like the Steelers that was able to make Mason Rudolph kind of work, apologies, but I have some serious rose-colored glasses at this situation right now.
I heard someone say, and it was probably even one of our friends or whatever, but I thought it was so absurd. They were Justin Fields has been overrated by the fantasy community. And I'm like, no fucking shit. He's a much better fantasy player than he is a real life quarterback. Yes, we are overrating him relative to what he does for an NFL organization. And we're still going to have to talk about him because he could be the quarterback in week 17 on a surprisingly competent offense. And that's something we have to discuss as best ballers.
Yeah, that gets lost in the shuffle so hard. It's I don't give a shit if they're down 28-0 they were multiple times at halftime, because that just means he's going to run his ass off in the second half.
I know. He's I don't think he's going away for best ball purposes. He's always going to be in that 18th round. Hey, tack on a little late, round 18 Fields there. You never know. Little mystery box.
Are we ready to go full weekly winners? Galbrain one at the onesies position, Justin Fields in the 15th round.
Please, John. I'm just trying to get through my biggest board.
You stack up Fields, but then you also have to have Jalen Warren on it, because in this timeline, he's also taken over the backfield by week 17. So you're just trying to win week 17 with the Bears.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see. Yeah, we got a lot of ground to cover on the show today, because we are going to rip a biggest board draft and also want to squeeze in a rookies and sophomores draft here. But real quick, did you guys have any thoughts on the scroll VF down video, of which you both made glorious appearances in? I know, John, you followed it up with a tweet with some additional thoughts that I enjoyed. But yeah, any comments now that your baby is out here in the world?
Well, I got the first thank you for taking it mainstream and doing that. I think it coincides greatly with the rookies and sophomore dropping right now, because that is outside of like BadgeBros Brawl, that's probably the 102 of scroll the F down season long tournaments, because the player pool is just so condensed. It's what mirrors itself to the dailies the most. But I think the one thing that's been living rent free in my head recently has been the product owned, some ownership stuff that we talk about on Redacted. And we talk about, like, just use an example of, like, there's a 4K chalk running back, right? And he garners like 80% ownership on a given week. Is there such thing as bad chalk on Underdog when a guy is only ever 16.3% owned or 8.3% in terms of like a season long contest? Because I was thinking about it through the lens of, like, you could get yourself to funneling to combos that are going to happen over and over again when you have a 4K chalk running back and it gets paired with CMC and Tyreek Hill, and that combination is like playing into potentially like bad combos. Does that actually happen in a season long facet on our site?
I was thinking about this because I saw your comment and I saw someone else talking about this as well. My only thought, though, is like, yes, some of the like scroll the F down guys, you could theoretically have 100% in the same way, like across a 150 max set on Redacted, you could have it. But for most part, the guys we're talking about, like fading the fragile guys, like it still would be hard to have 100% of them. So I almost feel like the fact that they're not technically 100% owned, they're just 100% drafted in each contest. It's like proportional to like what your exposure could be. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it scales in the way that it's not like one for one. Obviously, you could take a third round guy in the first round every time and have 100%, but like that would be, we all know that would be a losing strategy long term. So that was my only thought about that, where I feel like your personal exposure is limited by the dynamics of only one copy being in a draft, but so is your ability to not have to compete against that many versions of it as well.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
No, that's extremely well said. I think my answer as far as season long goes is I don't think there's bad chalk in season long. Now in dailies, I do think that it can get to a point with if a player gets steamed in a 1 week battle royale, that things can get over the top, because on Redacted, like, yeah, you do have like the weight of more of the field being able to get to that player, but where we have ADP, there's salary, and it becomes, like that Zach Moss week, where Zach Moss was overwhelmingly chalk everywhere that you played fantasy, and he was stepping in for Jonathan Taylor. On Redacted, he has that cheap salary, and that's what makes him appealing. But on Underdog, he actually, he was seeing like a little bit of a premium on his draft capital, where now he is like appropriately priced. And then I think you can venture into bad chalk territory if you were trying to get like way overweight this guy, like one particular player that's steamed up that isn't like a proportional range of outcomes where he goes relative to the field.
That's a really good point, Nez, because I think I fell into that pattern a couple times last year, chasing Ken Walker up the board that 1 week, and where I ended up with, so much, and then chasing Tony Redacted up the board a couple times too, where it's like he projects as a first rounder, he's available in the fourth. I don't have to draft him fourth round through second round for the entirety of the week.
Right.
Yeah. And the other, like, I think analogy, like if you are going to port over the DFS stuff, it's like, all right, let's say it's a week, Pop Douglas, was 3K, projecting for an insane amount of volume, was going to be like 30-35% rostered. Most DFS talking heads would be like, hey, that's a pretty easy auto fade at that chalk. His likelihood of hitting is probably not proportional to his ownership, but no one would ever say you cannot build a good lineup with Pop Douglas. They would just say, hey, you probably want to pull a uniqueness lever somewhere else. You don't want to also play Pop Douglas with the chalk stack. I think that applies to some of these fragile ADPs that we might scroll the F down past. Like this year, we had a lot of like Nico Collins and Tank Dell or Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. It's not to say the Chris Olave week where he's getting drafted 100%, in my mind, I might be hyperbolic and say like he's undraftable, but it also might mean, sure, you can take Chris Olave, but then you might want to scroll down for another guy and not just rip off 6 straight ADP vicinity players, knowing more people are going to have that. Whereas if you scroll down, you could pair a unique guy with the fragile chalk Olave in a smart way.
Yeah, well said. The other one that from the season long perspective that's very interesting is just talking through the example of CeeDee Lamb plus Amon-Ra last year, where it was like in our community, that was like a super chalky 12-13 combo, but then it ended up being the combo you need. And I mean, what was that actually truly owned when it was only owned like, CeeDee Lamb's only owned 8% of the time over the whole contest. How frequently was he actually paired with Amon-Ra? Was it a difference of like 1% compared to like Garrett Wilson, who was going right beside him? Or was it difference of like 3 or 4%? Because, yeah.
But it's also like the way one of the phrases I said in that video that I think holds true to this, and we always say it, right? It's not that you can't win with that chalk pairing, but what is the path of least resistance? And I would have argued if I woke up in the BBM 4 finals, which I most definitely did not because Christian McCaffrey couldn't punch it in from the 1, but I would have said otherwise that my path of least resistance had my team advance would have been CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown failing because that would have wiped out so many teams. And obviously an Amon-Ra CeeDee Lamb team did great and ended up winning because of other, things they had going on, other uniqueness levers that the field didn't have. But I would have been excited to show up in the finals without that combo, knowing the path for it cratering would have opened things up in a very big way.
Yeah, well said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's always really interesting, especially with the turn picks, right? How often those guys are paired together, because like it's almost like a package deal at that. Like I would imagine it was a pretty serious frequency with Amon-Ra and CeeDee, but obviously if they're the guys you need,
I wish it would have been. And this is hilarious in retrospect, but I wish it would have been like CeeDee and Pollard were the league winners, because that was like the Galbrain reach at the 1-2 where you're reaching ahead of ADP, but you're still getting the week 17 correlation, and just planted that seed in everyone of like, all right, we're just ripping in all these correlations early wherever we go.
John has a buddy from an old home league. His he would have went viral out there. You got to reach around the corners.
You got to reach on the corners, baby.
It would have been an entire video on that instead of scrolling down. Wow. In a different timeline somewhere. That exists. That same guy is also renowned for my lineup is set by finishing it off with the kicker in the 12th round.
So he fills out his whole lineup and then does the bench spots, and he stands out. My lineup is set, like just cracks the knuckles.
The very first year Pat and I drafted in the FFPC main event in Vegas, and he was a guy that appeared on that first Fantasyland episode. He was the guy from Texas and his dad, and they drafted a team where they took 2 defenses and 2 quarterbacks before they had even taken like their second or third wide receiver. And they're coming over to us and that we locked it up. We got it locked it up. We got the quarterback defense covered, everything. And me and Pat are like, snidely, chuckling to ourselves about these fish, and they won their league. And
I mean, it's always those guys.
It always is. All right, should we hop into rookies and sophomores as a little appetizer for the biggest board here?
Yeah, because if we wait, we might not be able to enter because this thing is filling so fast.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Holy cow, you're right. 1/3 of the way filled in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
All right.
Respa.
So I did just for kicks here. I loaded in because I saw our friends over at Legendary Upside just dropped their rookie and sophomore ranks. So we can do a little toggle here to see where those guys are differing from the market, but I'll default to ADP in our view here.
There we go.
That's interesting. The HN, they must see the depth at the wide receiver position is so much greater than the depth at the running back position. So they're pushing up HN over Puka there.
Yeah, which, I mean, you can't argue. Like, it's interesting, right? Like Bijan Gibbs, Devon HN, all top 15 picks in
Right.
the big board, and then you're falling down to like a 9th round pick in Spears, whereas you go through the wide receiver and it's like you got a 1st round pick, you got 2 2nd round picks, you got 2 3rd round picks. You get like it's very smooth throughout. So there is a huge tier gap at running back after Achane.
Yeah, the one thing that I haven't drafted yet, and we were just talking a little bit before we started here, is I was struggling finding stacks, like just in general. Like, you know, you could do the tank shroud, but you'd probably have to push it up to this front side corner. Yeah.
Yeah. So Bijan and Gibbs do go 1-2. Puka's here for us. Assuming Biff doesn't go 2 QBs, we would theoretically be able to get one of Richardson or Stroud if we go Puka.
Let's do the HN stuff and see what it looks like, because I'm
Want
curious.
to do the HN? Yeah.
Yeah, now that you brought that to our attention and Legendary Upside brought it to our attention, let's see how it plays out in real time.
That's a good call.
That's a serious gap between the running back 3 and the running back 4.
You're right.
That's a gulf.
Yeah. Yeah, I was saying to John yesterday on the club, we did one of these and we were able to get Bijan, Rashee Rice, Marvin Harrison Jr., and then double tap Jaden Daniels and Drake May.
Ooh.
And that also felt really good with the anchor. So he goes Puka, Marvin. I feel like we should take our pick of one of these quarterbacks here.
Yep.
Do you guys have a preference?
I think Richardson probably, I mean, both of them are going to be great, but I think Richardson probably plays better in this contest because we can fall back on a down stack, whereas like Shroud plus Tank just seems so unattainable.
Agreed.
And he plays better unstacked anyways, right?
Yeah.
And I assume that the 3-4 turn is going to have a ton of like Stroud, Tank, Dell double taps, or sorry, that 3-4 pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would make sense. The quarterback gets thin pretty quick too. I mean, imagine a lot of these rookies, or at least, you know, obviously Caleb and hopefully Daniels, you know, ends up starting somewhere because this gets thin pretty quick at QB too.
Yeah,
I do. This is the interesting thing here. So X-Spin takes Jaden Daniels to pair with CJ Stroud, whereas kind of I do think it's default like the Richardson, Stroud, Caleb Williams all go, and then the guy who's boxed out double taps the 2 remaining, but he wasn't able to get that. So we have like a pretty clear tier ADP wise of Rashee Rice and Malik Neighbors, but is there anything else you like?
I like either of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to let John, you know, make the Neighbors call if that's what he wanted to do. Yeah, there's some clear dynamics here if you're like paying attention that seems like a pattern that's going to happen with some relative frequency here.
Yeah, Biff goes Malik and Drake May there. We're staring at Zay Flowers, Adunze, also got a trio of quarterbacks, but I think we can probably stick with wide receiver here.
I think I view Flowers slightly better than Rome. Like just knowing the landing spot right now, knowing that they've added Derrick Henry, that offense is Yeah,
I do wonder if they'll add another receiver, but regardless, I feel like again, it just feels like a very strong projection gap there that it's hard for me to like advocate for any other pick other than just like being bored.
3 quarterback. What do you guys think about? What do you guys think about like a Richardson solo QB? Like, what does like adding Penix to this do? Like adding Bryce Young right now would be like good, probably. But like, is it insane to have like a 1 QB build?
Hang on, let's make these pick. I guess we should talk through the wide receiver thing. I mean, I think Jaden Reed's kind of in a tier of his own here as far as what's remaining.
Him or Thomas for me.
Okay. I guess the only thing I was thinking, John, is because it's a smaller starting lineup, does that, make quarterback even more important? Proportionally, when we have the 9 starting lineup spots, it can get watered down and not meet as much, to where I wonder if having that second quarterback can be very helpful here. But then the counter is, are there any guys who have any upside that make it worth it? And it's probably after JJ McCarthy goes, you're really probably just burning a roster spot.
Yeah, AOC could start, but yeah. Down
I
stacks, but I think Brian Thomas is just a way better pick, or JSN's a way better pick. No?
think Brian Thomas is the pick here.
Let's do Brian and
Okay.
see if we can push downs. This room is a little weird just with X-Spin going 3 quarterbacks, which I can't envision that being optimal, especially with 3 straight there, but we shall see.
Yeah. We need Gunslinger Levis for this to really take off, and then he ping pongs with Stroud and Levis in the playoffs. But I like what we've got going here pretty.
Yeah,
Pretty
no,
good.
X-Spin's here just trolling 3 quarterbacks and then Josh Downs.
What, we got your boy Worthy on the board.
Yeah, I do love Worthy. I'm also fine. I don't think Biff is probably going to go a third QB here, so we could probably still decide.
Is Chase Brown the pick here, actually, if we want to just like lock up?
I think I like the rookie. I like the rookie running backs more than Chase.
Okay.
Like, I'd rather take a shot on the ceiling of like Benson or Brooks than just be like, hey, let's take the committee of Chase and Zach Moss.
Yeah, that's probably right.
For the audio listeners here, these are 12-round drafts, and then the starting lineup requirements are 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 wide receiver / tight end. There's no special tight end position, and then 1 flex. So he goes 80 Mitchell, and then we'll see what he does there, and goes Jonathan Brooks. So then the decision is, do we go like Trey Benson or JJ McCarthy? Probably.
Yeah.
Let's push quarterback again and see what happens. Let's keep pushing it.
Got some stones. All right.
Let's do Benson.
Benson?
Yeah.
All right.
Just hope he gets a lead back role somewhere.
Yeah, ADP likes that, or the rankings like that. I am a little bit of a quorum bull too. I will say I am looking forward to see where he lands, because he just has the look of a professional running back. Seems like he's a smart runner, hits his holes. I like the way he plays.
I've been
described
told
Najee Harris in his rookie.
yeah. I mean, I'm fine now that JJ McCarthy does go. I'm fine to grab Corum here as well. I think we're in kind of a flatter tier for wide receiver.
Yeah, you guys like Corum more than Sharps and Wright?
I could do Sharps if that's what you preferred. I honestly don't think that
you guys pick
big gap.
I'll do Corum for.
All right, let's have some fun. Let's have some fun.
I think there's
Sharps every time we draft on here.
I think there's a wider range for what Blake Corum's role could be that just feels a little enticing right now.
Yeah, that might not involve contingency.
All right. I do think we raw dog it with just A-Rich at quarterback at this point.
Yeah, me too.
Do you guys have a favorite of these wide receivers? Franklin, Keon Coleman, Roman Wilson, Xavier Legette?
I thought Coleman had a lot of hype at one point. Did he not?
Yeah, he just tested poorly.
Franklin and Coleman were the 2 guys who were hyped pre-combine that have been kind of gotten flipped by some of those other guys.
Well, we grind film, baby. We don't watch dudes running sprints in tights, okay? We watch film. We watch football around here, okay? Keon Coleman, never dropped a pass in his life.
That's right.
On the film that I've seen.
The fact that we have Achane anchor, I mean, I think we can just, and if we're not going to grab another quarterback, I think we can just take a couple more wide receivers. Or I saw Braylon Allen went, which was a nice pick. I also don't mind Marshawn Lloyd. He seems like the other guy who's going to get some decent draft capital relative to the other guys.
Are you bullish on Michael Wilson at all with like the way that things are kind of shaking out in Arizona?
I don't mind it. The other thing is we should really scroll the F down. I forgot about that too.
Yeah, we do have a motto.
What about Mims?
Mims is fun. You're never going to get me to say no to Marvin.
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh no, he's gone.
Oh, he went.
Shit. Yeah, my bad.
I liked Michael Mayer. Is that weird? Or Ricky Pearsall?
Here, I just see Pearsall, so I'm going to just get him in first. I also.
What an AOC Michael Mayer stack to close it out, baby.
Oh, it's too late. We could have.
Yeah, we can. I don't know.
Talk to me about your boy Jalen McMillan. He keeps getting hype. I keep trying to boost my exposure, being influenced by people.
Yeah, I mean, like, he was hurt for a bit, but like, he's nice. He's smooth. Like, I would describe him as like smooth.
Okay. Do you want a little smooth on this roster?
I think he's better than Polk.
Yeah. I don't think I guess I haven't seen people debating that too much, but he's definitely a scroll the F down in here based on ADP. So I like that.
Yeah, he was in and out, and then he played through injury stuff, and then he came back for like the playoffs and national championship, and he probably still wasn't 100%, but he was still finding ways to get open.
All right, here's the squad. Quarterback, Anthony Richardson. Please stay healthy. Please be the chosen one. Running backs, Devon Achane, Trey Benson, Blake Corum. And then we loaded up on 8 wide receivers, Rashee Rice, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed, Brian Thomas Jr. Here comes the rookie parade. Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman, Ricky Pearsall, and Jalen Smooth McMillan. Not too bad.
That's awesome.
I like that. I like what we did at the end there because like without landing spot and without, exact usage splits and knowing that sort of stuff, like what's the difference that we're sacrificing between like Quentin Johnson and Mingos who are going to go like, I don't know, 80% of the time and McMillan's going to go like 40% of the time.
I mean, you're literally, Jalen McMillan could get hurt and not play a snap, and you're not sacrificing anything relative to Quentin Johnston.
Well said.
All right. Let's hop in the biggest board draft. Those of you who watched Best Ball Breakfast on Monday saw that I was hoping we could cook up a little higher dollar buy-in, single entry or 3 max. And Neumy and Hope heard our prayer and launched this yesterday. So we got $100 3 max contest, awesome structure, 20K to first, 10K to second, 10th place, 2,000 there, that nice 10% mark of first. And then it's also a really nice advanced structure, 4 of 12 in the regular season advance, 2 of 8 in week 15, and then 2 of 8 in week 16 in only a 34 seat final. So
that's
really,
sick.
really nice. Yeah.
Like, they didn't sacrifice too much for the finals to do that advancement, which like $100 in March for a thing that'll finish in 2025, I think makes sense. That was good job by them.
This was my selfish way of like, I'm sitting here looking at the regular big board. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get the kind of volume in, but if I can get in, $300 worth of the biggest board, that's like the equivalent of me having time for 30 big board drafts. And so I was like, this is how I can shortcut and still get my action down. So thank you for appeasing me.
No, I love that. And like the sweat equity associated with it, so much better. Like if you have time to do 3 drafts and you only get $30 into the big board, like the time to do 3 of these drafts, like you're going to have a way better sweat every single time. Most of those big board teams are just flat dead.
Yeah, it's a very big contest. So yeah, if you are weighing that, or you're saying like me, whether time or bankroll, I mean the 300 here versus 30 drafts there, I know where I stand on that. But all right, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Breece Hall, Bijan. I've been seeing Bijan scream up draft boards lately. What do you guys want to do here?
Tyreek?
Yeah, Tyreek or Chase for me.
Yeah. Let's do Tyreek.
Okay. I don't usually take Tyreek. I swear every season I just have like this thought in my head, like there's no way that he can just be as efficient as he is again, right? And then he just continues to just do it over and over again. So he just feels like a really, really safe pick there. With this structure though, with this $100 drafts, I love it. I feel like it's such like a sign of like things to come, and seeing how quickly this can fill. Which I think it'll be like pretty surprising how quickly they can get this thing to fill. Should be, I think, a pretty solid. I mean, we know best ball is going to grow, obviously, but really solid indicator of things to come for this upcoming season, in my opinion. Because I love this is like this price range, like I lived in last season for best ball.
Well, and I feel like we got spoiled during the dailies this year because the amount of offerings and the 5 max, the 3 max, the bomb, like all those that were cycling through were just so plentiful. Mm-hmm. And then, I'm sitting here just looking at one, contest in the NFL lobby, and we get spoiled because I'm like, hey, can we get another one?
It's true.
So this is to say, let's make sure we all fill this contest so they keep pumping them out here for us.
How would your guys' strat differ, like not to dox some of the stuff that you have coming out, Pete, but I know we talked through some big board macro strat stuff. Does any of that stuff change for you guys in your drafting with this being potentially a little more time box and smaller field?
That's a good question. Yeah, and 4 of 12. Well, obviously the barrier of advancing in every single one. I do think you can probably justify, more 3 QB, 3 tight end type builds. Maybe not lean as much into I think there's a lot of times, say I'm on the fringe of that. Let's say even something like Kyler and Tua. I'm probably just going to rock that as a 2 QB build in the big board. In this one, if I think I had a really nice quarterback value, say I had Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers slipped a long way, or say like JJ McCarthy happens to be free in that draft, I might be a little bit more inclined to just tack that on, knowing that I'm not having to hit the nuts with that last spot as much as I am in the other contest.
Good shout.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I guess it is I guess it's counterintuitive to say that it gives you a better chance of advancing because it is only 4 out of 12 and, you just keep yourself alive. I get, or a better chance of keeping yourself alive since obviously things can go really awry at the onesies. Another way for me in this time box, and I'm not going to do all 3 of mine slow, but I think doing slow drafts is obviously I think has a pretty big edge in the time box contest too. But I mean, how much information edge are you going to grind out in March with your slow drafts too?
It's definitely a micro edge, but like how much did we gain by just learning that Deontay Foreman just signed with the Browns right now versus someone who drafted an hour ago?
Man, I missed that. Yeah, Deontay Foreman was programmed as a Brown. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, as Isaiah Crowell, in the same vein.
Oh, wow. That's a good shout.
Yeah, I mean, so this is just whether you sort by ADP, by leg up ranks. I mean, this is all wide receivers here other than Allen. I'm good with any
Olave or Samuel?
Samuel.
Okay, let's do Debo. Yeah, we did Olave last time, I think. So let's head down the Samuel game tree.
Yeah, Samuel feels like such a different archetype of Olave. Olave is so just, by the book, good wide receiver, not a sexy ceiling. And then there's Debo that's just yak and 30-point games. It's just it's fireworks with Debo.
We are simulcasting this on both my YouTube channel and the BadgeBros channel. Let the record show that I did not take Debo Samuel over Brandon Ayuk. My finger was merely a vehicle for their wishes. I still firmly reside on Team Ayuk over Team Debo. Just want to let you guys know sometimes it's not always in my control.
The puppet masters today.
I respect it. Actually, hey, shout out if you're watching on BadgeBros channel right now. Drop a couple Mr. Good Boys in the chat. Mr. Good Boy turns 3 today.
Really?
Oh, let's go.
Wow. Yeah. Happy B-Day.
Doesn't look a day older than 2, man.
Did you get your scroll down emotes in there for the members?
Yep, we got the scroll down emotes in. Yep.
And I those should be up on my channel as well for the members, so you guys can spam the scroll down everywhere.
I thought my gear would be here soon. I know it's going to be here soon. I was hoping it'd be here before the show, but I'm really excited for all the care package I ordered for myself. Okay,
there you go.
Am I crazy to be the Jacobs guy here?
I think a little bit.
Okay.
Because I think you can still capture. So I guess this is a smaller contest time box, blah, blah, blah.
What would you do, Pete, if it wasn't Jacobs? Dell?
I like Dell or Waddle. Yeah.
Okay. Let's do Dell.
Take it.
My only thought, John, is just I feel like this is where his price is going to settle. And then it's so you're almost not 10, 11 picks ahead of ADP. Do you just get your exposure when you're on the back end of the board and build a little bit stronger combos with him? And then once he pushes up, then you just match the field on him?
Yeah, entirely fair.
But
I got a question. No, go.
I was just going to say, to your point, I think he should be valued there. I think Barkley and Jacob should be valued relatively similarly. I'd still probably take Barkley slightly ahead, but I don't think the gap should be as big as it is.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Does the AJ Dillon re-signing stuff change anything for anybody?
No, it's good news.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we enjoyed that. That way, it kind of keeps out another like exciting piece or a good player as his backup.
Well, imagine if they were to draft, Braylon Allen, right? Who a lot of people are excited about as a rusher, kind of has more of that 2-down skill set, guy who's clearly going to come in with some fresh legs and some juice. And then all of a sudden, Josh Jacobs drafters are looking over their shoulder a little bit. Like we're looking over our shoulder, and AJ Dillon's on an E-tractor about 100 yards behind us.
That's a funny one.
I'm curious what Jacobs' passing role or receiving role rather will look like. I mean, the last season was a disappointment compared to the last 2 years where he caught over 50, and Jones and Dillon collectively caught over 50 balls there. But it doesn't seem like why am I blanking? Jordan Love is the type. Oh. It doesn't seem like Jordan Love's the type to like check down. At least what we saw in his last few games of his sample, the last thing that he wanted to do was not like give it a shot down deep, as opposed to checking down. But we'll see what.
I just wanted to see what Aaron Jones had in the playoffs down the stretch as far as receptions. I mean, you're right. Like Dallas, I mean, they were cruising. They didn't have to throw it all. That game against San Francisco, he had 6 targets, 5 targets in the game against Chicago. I think the reception floor could be solid there for him. I don't know why they wouldn't use him. Maybe what do you think you could get? Like 80% of Aaron Jones's passing game usage?
Yeah, and then I don't know that 50 receptions is there. I mean, I don't, maybe I'm just overfitting what I think about Derek Carr, which he just seems like a very play it safe quarterback. Whenever he was the quarterback, when he had his like good seasons where he was getting, more checkdowns than design passes. All right.
I mean, we're in the tight end sweet spot here. I'm happy to go Kelsey. I think not a bad price for ETN now, almost 7-8 spots past ADP as well.
One of those two, Kelsey or ETN.
John, do you have a favorite?
I'd take ETN and then take whichever tight end falls, assuming they're not going to double tap on the corner.
Yeah, I think that's a safe assumption. A nice deal because we had taken ETN, I believe, at pick 25.
Yep.
And now get him at 46. This also makes the Josh Jacobs pass, I think, look a little bit better, being able to get a caliber of ETN here at 46.
Yeah,
100%. I had 2 questions for you guys. The Waddle one, you suggested Waddle instead of Tank. Are you more likely or less likely to take Waddle when you take Tyreek in the first and set up double stack stuff, just like as a macro in a contest like this?
I think that's actually probably a really good one to think through a smaller contest. Whereas I would be less likely to do it and having to hit the nuts in the advanced lottery, and way more willing to make the macro level team bet on the Dolphins or to go Ayuk. Maybe thinking back to it, we should have done Waddle or Ayuk in the smaller contest. We get our pick of Mark Andrews or Trey McBride. Pat's a Andrews slappy, so he has him slightly ahead. McBride slightly ahead in ADP. My vote's McBride, but I can get outvoted 2 Andrews to 1 if you guys are there.
McBride.
Okay.
This is it. Are you Andrews, John?
I think I'd have to think more through it.
He's a contrarian.
The fact that Arizona's traded away all their pass catchers, and it's just Michael Wilson and Trey right now, and then assuming they take Marvin Harrison Jr., it feels like that role is going to be really, really nice. Whereas they got way more red zone weapons with Baltimore now, with Derrick Henry and the emergence of Isaiah Likely from last year. Like they can't just like cut him out. He's too good. I think the Trey volume bet, but we went back to that well for 5 straight weeks in the dailies last year.
Dude, we live. I mean, this show can just be rebranded off and on selecting Trey McBride, mostly on. And then he was a fixture. We'd build a pick 'em, and we're like, yeah, let's take his yardage higher.
Spicy.
And also
Spice
costing
every
him
time.
the spice.
Like, what do we want? We could get this 8x Trey McBride, 10 catches, 100 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Should we do it?
Well, he's getting 11 targets like every single week, and we're like, they just need to get to the red zone. Like that's all we need for this. Like,
and then it was Christmas Eve, right? When he was the final leg to hit that big 10K bomb for everybody.
Christ.
And he did get the touchdown. Fucking Greg Dortch scored that week, I believe.
I was demoing you like it was you were business, Pete.
Yeah. I was ready to I mean, nothing would have made me more happy than to send you a 1099 miscellany for a Trey McBride spike there on Christmas Eve.
Happily. I would have told you to keep it just for future entries.
Yeah.
We would have ran through it.
All right, here. So our team through 5 rounds, 3 wide receivers to start: Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel, Tank Dell. Grabbed Travis Etienne, a little value hounding there, and then Trey McBride here in the 5th round. Mark Andrews does fall back to the Lamar Jackson drafter there. We got Short Gamer TV. Pretty sick to get the Lamar Andrews stack in the 4-5 there.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that was unfathomable a year ago.
And with Jalen Waddle correlated for last year's week 7.
Oh, yeah. That's great alpha.
I wonder if Hawkberg at the 102 there, he takes Travis Kelce there. I wonder if he would have gone Mahomes on the way back and just shut it down with like a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, 2 quarterbacks in the first 5 rounds.
Yeah.
He'd be tempted.
And the thing because you see BSP has Rashee Rice, so you know that there's no way Mahomes is going past there, though, probably.
Yeah, good shout.
I thought this relative to, again, kind of the Josh Jacobs steam, Derrick Henry price in this draft, this almost looks, I mean, obviously it's a post-free agent ADP, but still at 45, it doesn't seem like the kind of steam I've seen in some of the regular big board rooms with him. And I can also tell we got a full badge brigade out today, obviously higher price point. I think things are skewing slightly more piss boy wide receiver avalanche in this one, which is the reason we get ETN at 46.
Where would you put, or I guess let's make this pick, and then I have like a higher lower question for you for Derrick Henry. But
did Ridley already go? He must have, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Hopkins does go 1 pick ahead of us here. Man, this is the only, I guess, knock on taking McBride is then you get Kittle at pick 70. Godwin's here. Kamara. I don't think we take one of these quarterbacks. JSN. Then you're down into Warren, Montgomery.
Would you do
I'd
Warren?
do Godwin.
Okay.
I'm fine with Godwin. I haven't selected him a ton. Coming on at the end of the season last year?
Yeah.
I haven't heard a lot of people talk about Godwin much this year. Have you guys?
Mm-mm.
We need his wife. We need his wife to start dropping some threats in the offseason here.
Yeah.
You got to get that narrative going early.
Squeaky wheel by proxy there was worked great for him. I think you can look at the fact that he came on in the second half of last season as some sort of bullish indicator of whether it was, more reps with Baker or him getting healthy. It's always what you want to see, rather that than have it be hot in the early season and then taper off.
Can we scroll a little bit here just for 1 second? I just want to see.
Let me do it by ADP here. So you're just firmly in like a quarterback and
running back.
One thing. So let me check some ADPs here. Kyler is not coming back to us. His ADP is 87. And we don't pick until 94. So if we wanted to get a quarterback and stack him up, I don't really think Kyler's that different from the Burrow Dak tier anyways. So
I don't think so either.
You guys down for that?
Yep, very much.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a pretty good pick. He's not coming back.
No.
Always been a Kyler guy.
And I do think that's interesting to think. So we took Trey McBride at ADP, right? I wonder if it's pretty normal, and I don't know if anyone's looked into the frequency of this, because Kyler's ADP finds himself on the other side of the board from McBride. I wonder if the McBride drafter is actually getting boxed out of Kyler a good bit, unless you're kind of aggressively going out and targeting him as a stack before that string of picks.
It's a good point, especially in this contest where we're dealing with fewer lobbies, obviously, than the main. Could be a little unique pairing there. If it's not, you kind of have to go out of your way for that.
Yeah, and then it just gives us outs too, because then I think, one of Purdy or Tua. I mean, we don't necessarily have to force it with those guys. We also have the Baker out, but getting like the really high upside, single week kind of upside from Kyler there, I think gives us a ton of flexibility to get a good value on our next quarterback.
For sure.
Yep, I like it.
So
I want to talk through.
So X-Spin is making my head spin today. This is the highest I've seen Pitts goes at pick 56. And I said that I'm not taking Pitts over Kittle, as excited as I am about Pitts, but like Pitts at 56 versus Kittle at 72 is pretty nuts.
We're doing it again, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's setting up the Cousins thing, though, because if you scroll, I think he pushed London in the second round, too.
Yep. Good call.
That's almost like where London goes now, right?
Yeah.
Over the Olave grouping.
Do you not think with Kittle, Kincaid on the board, do you not think you could get Pitts at pick 65 there? That's the question. I mean, Pitts is ADP. I guess, wow, it's up to 69. I mean, I think that's how I would have played it. But I also wouldn't have taken 3 quarterbacks in the rookies and sophomores draft, X-Spin. X-Spin has to be watching, right? There's no way you're just coincidentally
grinding.
Rookies and sophomores and then in this one.
So I was going to ask, like, what do you guys think about reasonable expectations for Derrick Henry this season? I mean, just by fantasy points last season with the Titans, put up 232 fantasy points. Just for reference, Jahmyr Gibbs had 216 fantasy points. Like higher or lower, 232. We could just start there with Derrick Henry this season.
Well, he's going to score 30 touchdowns. So
do the math.
Yeah.
He's the exact kind of guy. You know how when we would build our pick'em entries and we would be like, how it's like, I want to draft that guy in the battle royale and not take his higher or lower.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel about Derrick Henry, where it's like, I would take the lower on pretty much that projection or touch or fantasy point, whatever. Because I think it's going to be inflated by touchdowns, which we know are super volatile. And so if I'm going to capture that, I'd rather capture that in a fantasy draft. It's like, oh, he has a 4 touchdown game because like whatever, like,
yeah.
Whereas I think it's going to be really spotty in general, and he'll probably be under in most like median scenarios.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fair point. He carried the ball 280 times last season, which is like kind of crazy. The Ravens, as far as Keaton Mitchell, Justice Hill, and Gus Edwards goes, carried it like 320 times. So make this pick here.
So we can see if we can push Purdy. There's no San Francisco. Actually, the CMC drafter already has Allen, but Purdy
or Najee. I'm unfortunately serious.
I said we could push quarterback a little bit. I'm gonna give Nez as Najee.
Let's go.
I think
like
we can have a little Justin Fields later.
You guys like Najee? Like, paint a scenario with Najee. Fields is starting. You like Najee more than bounce back Austin Eckler?
Yeah. Man, what a crazy sentence to say if you would have told me that one a year ago. But
God, right? I kind of do. I thought Najee looked fine at the end of last season. Like he was, I mean, in the fantasy playoffs, he was actually putting up good numbers, like 20-point games there at the end, and that was with a really bad offense.
There's the Mike Williams one. Nice pick.
Oh yeah.
I see. Are you guys Brock over Tua?
Yeah, I think so.
I am.
I think in like a vacuum, Tua stacks better with Tyreek in terms of like the way they score points than Brock stacks with Debo. But
True.
that being said, I think over the course of the entire season, I'd rather have Brock.
So now knowing how this draft shook out, do you guys think we should have double tapped, taken Ayuk here, knowing this format, knowing we were going to get Brock at a decent price, Debo, Ayuk, Brock?
Yeah, but I think I might have preferred Waddle than Ayuk. I don't think Ayuk's going anywhere, but I do think there's a little bit of
True.
That. Whereas I think Miami is really sticky right now and really condensed still.
Yeah.
I'm talking myself into Miami shit, I think.
The thing on the back to the Najee
As
thing,
you're muted.
You're muted, Nez?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. Nez is like, hey, someone else is going to talk about Najee?
Producer behind the scenes cut me off. They cut off my mic.
I mean, it's just like, if you're, instead of trying to fight who Arthur Smith is, like, Arthur Smith is going to love Najee. Like, Najee is more his Tyler Algier, and Jalen Ward is more his Bijan here. Like, Najee's going to be the guy who wants to stubbornly get going, get established, all of this stuff. It's like, let's just not fight it. I mean, this offense is going to be improved, and Najee's going to get a shit ton of carries.
If you got to win football games this year, the fantasy outcome for Pittsburgh is worse, right? Because this is my thing for the Steelers. If the Steelers are going to, there's a lot of Steelers talk. Sorry, Nez. But like, if the Steelers are going to win football games this year and you're going to vie for a wild card position, the way in which you do it is super fucking boring, is it not? It's play action with Russ, with Najee, with some deep shots to
Van Jefferson,
Pickens.
Calvin Austin.
Yeah, like that's the formula, right? What we want in fantasy is Fields scrambling around and then occasionally dumping off to Warren. I don't think that's what they want, right?
Probably not. No.
I
mean, I think it's gonna resemble, depending on what they do in the draft, a lot of what the Broncos offense looked like.
I think the upside for like Warren, outside of contingent stuff, is that they run it almost like the Lions were handling David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, where it's just like, we are just going to establish it so firmly on the ground. Like, anytime we have a good situation where we can kind of control the game, or we're within one score, we are just it'll be like a Najee drive and then a Jalen Warren drive. And then we're just going to keep, and those guys are each getting so many touches. Jalen Warren gets a few more catches. Najee gets a few more extra goal line carries, and they both are able to get there because Arthur's just like establish.
Yeah, in his interview, he totally painted them like the Steeler way of playing football, and laid out his vision of what that would look like, and it definitely sounded exactly like what you just said. And I think the Rooneys and Tomlin probably lit up when they heard that.
Yeah. So damn, I was hoping Jonathan Brooks would fall to us. I
was hoping Zach Moss would.
Oh yeah, I forgot you love
Does
Zach
he
Moss
ever?
here. This feels like it could be a running back pick.
Do you like Chuba or Singletary?
Singletary or Judy for me.
I have not selected Singletary yet. I'm fine to do that.
Singletary just like, after coming out of Houston as like the lead back in that backfield, when we just like completely wrote him off and like looked good doing it. I don't know. I'm not writing off Singletary anymore. I think that he's got a place in this offense.
What's the difference?
Dayball loves him.
Oh yeah, but I was gonna say, like, what's the difference between Zamir White and Singletary right now, other than Singletary probably has more coaches' trust.
Less competition with Singletary, right? Am I forgetting?
Yeah, I think both teams are probably likely to add a back.
Yeah.
The question is if it's like a day 2 or day 3.
Mm-hmm. It's just,
dude, we got some sweet. The people thought I was crazy pushing up Zach Moss last week, like 30 spots, and we got CLV on it by pushing him up 30 spots.
Yeah,
really. I did not notice that movement that strong. Wow.
Judy goes, I wanted to talk about his contract, which we should regardless. Yeah. I don't mind getting a rookie wide receiver, Keon Coleman, here.
I know we just took Keon, but
yeah,
I like him.
Keon or Palmer. Palmer might come back.
Yeah. I think based on there's a lot of I think we should let's grab
Mystery
Keon
box.
here.
This team doesn't really need Palmer because wide receiver's pretty safe with us. Like Palmer's just discount Godwin.
That's why I was kind of hoping like Brooks would have been the perfect kind of high upside third back to pair with the touches we got locked up with ETN and Najee. But what did you guys think about that Judy contract?
Oh wow, John, you first if you have thoughts.
Bad organizations stay bad. Like they made a really sharp move by trading for a potential breakout guy that's underperformed. And, you know, some people don't like him in his advanced stuff and whatever, but like we're talking about a player who was like highly coveted at one point in time, and they pick him up for his 50-year option, give him like a test run trial year, make him earn that contract, and instead they just hand him that contract. It didn't really make sense to me.
It's like the Mixon thing where you're like, okay, you get him for dirt cheap. You just kind of run him into the ground as a 1-year rental, like well done, like good lead back proxy there. And then you give him this massive extension. It's like, no, like the first part was right. Like you acquire him on the cheap. Like you don't give him a fat. And don't you have to like earn that contract where it's like, all right, Jerry Jeudy crushed for us. Yes, we know he's getting older, but we're going to do right by him. There's your phrase from the Bears because he crushed and now give him the contract. It's like you're doing that after just watching him fail over and over again.
Right.
Yeah, it felt like the Texans felt like they needed to just secure or spend money while they had the cap to spend while they still have Stroud on the rookie deal is just like my explanation. It doesn't make it right or good. They could have, because they did the same thing with Dalton Schultz. It's like they just have this cap space burning a hole in their pocket. So let's just give Dalton Schultz and Joe Mixon money. Like you guys are taking a step backwards, I feel like. And then with the Jerry Jeudy thing, that just felt like a signing on potential. And when's the last time the Browns have given out like a contract that was good? It's just strange, man. It's interesting, but
it feels like they need more at running back depth to like spend opposed to spending at wide receiver when you could just like take away the fact that like, you know, they didn't have to give Jeudy that money, but like you also have like David Bell and Cedric Tillman, who were day 2 guys that they've done nothing with. Like, and you know, that this kind of just like completely ices them out.
I mean, they seem like dust at this point. I mean,
Fair
just
enough.
based on the fact that they have done literally nothing.
To me, this still feels kind of like a wide receiver pick. I don't mind Wicks or Leggett. I think we could do a running back too. It feels like
let's do Leggett mystery box. This wide receiver room's pretty good to have a mystery box set up.
Okay,
I agree.
This running back range is really strange. Like Ford just had Foreman sign there. Chandler has Aaron Jones there. I'm not sure how much. I feel like that. I don't know if that's a falling knife or not. Jaleel McLaughlin is 5'2".
Is he really, or is that an exaggeration? I believe it.
I think if he was back to back with Deuce Vaughn, you could like balance a bowl between them.
I want the actual height here. 5'8". Okay. But I was gonna like believe you. I was like, is he?
I love to. That's like my favorite personal bit that I do is I exaggerate, but to enough that you kind of believe it. Like I always say Justin Verlander's 48 on our show, and it's like, wait, is he actually 48?
Like if you said 4'11", I'd be like, all right, Ned.
Okay.
You say 5'2", and I'm like, oh shit, actually.
Good. Mission accomplished. Took the bait.
Is this 3-quarterback team?
See, that's what. So this is my kind of. I think this falls in that fringe here, but the only problem is I wouldn't have wanted to spend this draft capital on the third quarterback here. I'd rather get that third quarterback late. Honestly, I think I'm a rookie. I think I'd be Braylon Allen or Marshawn Lloyd for this room.
The limited knowledge that I have, I think I like Allen better, but that's so landing spot dependent. Where did Jalen Wright go in this one?
Let's see. He went 137.
Okay, so not that crazy. He feels like the guy that's like catching the most rookie steam right now. I think people like clicking his name for whatever reason, whether it's a cool name to click, whether he, you know, the combine was good to him.
Yeah.
you watch his highlights and it's nothing but explosive runs because there's nobody in the box and he's just running free for days. I don't know if that transfers, but I feel like people watch him and they get excited.
And isn't he going to catch a few balls as well, which I think helps those guys that people can tell themselves that there's a little bit more of a 3-down upside, I think always inflates a bit. Because I still wouldn't be surprised if like Braylon Allen got drafted ahead of Jalen Wright, depending on what a team was looking for.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Thunder and Lightning comp.
Yeah.
Wow,
it's just
Mooney
like
at 162.
It's hard. I don't think I'd clicked Jerome Ford once yet. It's really hard for me to pass on the rookies in this range where it's just like, you know, if it's not Jonathan Brooks to the Cowboys and it's Braylon Allen, like, you know, he's going to be going 6 rounds earlier. Whereas we just know the band of ADP on Jerome Ford, like, isn't going to change.
This range of rookies is similar to me, at least, to the Saints of like last season, where they were like really ambiguous. They were like the poster child for ambiguous backfields, and we just knew one of them was going to deliver some sort of value. I think you can kind of paint that same picture with this range of rookies. Like, we know there's someone good here, but like one's going to crater and one's going to fly up. It's just, you know, just kind of have to pick your poison.
I'll give you the comp, Nez. This band of rookie running backs right now is the band of rookie quarterbacks we had last year, where it was like we didn't know if we wanted Bryce, CJ. We didn't know who we wanted, but we knew one of them was going to crush in terms of CLV.
Yeah.
I'm happy to go Lloyd here again.
Take both shots. You like him more than Ray Davis?
I think Lloyd is going to get drafted earlier than Ray Davis. I don't have any actual tape takes.
Cool.
Those are 2 great names.
Yeah.
I can't say much against either. We might even get Ray Davis. I mean, again, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, the only other consideration at running back would be if we wanted to take Eli Mitchell to just try to build out the Niners bet just a teeny bit more because there's really no one else after him to do that with.
Is that a leg up thing or a field thing? Eli,
both.
That kind of surprises me.
Well, leg up is higher, but he's at ADP 174. Are you lower or higher on that?
I would think lower, just based on the way that he kind of finished out last season. I know he was hurt quite a bit, but I mean, I guess the contingency value is huge. Right?
I guess I would be more worried if we don't think he's the direct number 2. Then I think that starts to introduce a lot of risk.
Yeah, which it does seem like he is until further notice.
Yeah, they got Jordan. I was just confirming right now. They got Jordan Mason on the last year of a deal right now, who's extremely cheap, so he won't be like a cut candidate, I don't think.
Okay.
They like him in special teams too.
The other thing is obviously tight end starts to get really thinned out as well.
Yeah, Cade Otton seems fine.
Cade Otton and set up the Baker double, baby. We're so fucking back. Baker double season.
Is Baker getting steam after the fresh contract? I think he's gone.
Baker's gone.
Oh my God. People are on to me.
They've given him his flowers, man.
Who did Baker went to Lopi here? I'm trying to see. Did he have Evans? Yeah, Mike Evans in the 3rd.
All right, we'll allow it.
But I don't mind it. Again, this is the, you know, especially in this contest, right? It's just like we already have Kyler and Brock. We didn't need to spend like that level of pick on Baker, and we can just build in an extra stack without the quarterback.
Are you taking Jatavian Sanders right now, Pete?
I haven't. Like, the leg up rankings are always like holding him up on a billboard there for me.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, but I've been taking like Likely ahead of him. I'm trying to see what else I've been doing late at tight end. I've been doing Tucker Kraft a lot. And then just like a lot of correlating. Like if I have a Levis build, I'll do Chig, you know, Rogers, I'll do Conklin. But yeah, I don't know. What about you guys? Are you in on him as potentially being an impact guy down the stretch?
I didn't know too much about him until recently, whenever I also like was checking out Pat's ranks, and I was like, oh, wow, okay, this guy's popping up, and I think I saw some love on ETR for him as well. I mean, he's 20 years old. It's crazy. 6'4", seems awfully athletic as most tight ends are, but I'm not so sure, man. I don't know that I'm totally like over the rookie tight end, like bear season,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy that there's 4 pass catching, or like not pass catching, but 4 offensive weapons from that Texas team that go inside the first like 16 rounds in these already.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hell of a crop.
Yeah, and again, that actually is a feather probably in his cap of, hey, you were having to compete.
That's true.
With all of this, what do you look like with less target competition? If you were to go somewhere that had a more wide open depth chart, like, what if like the Jets drafted him in the 2nd or 3rd round or whatever, and you're like, man,
damn.
That narrative makes me laugh so hard because it's true. It's like anecdotally, it's true, but it makes me think of Irv Smith. Like Irv Smith at Alabama, and we did it for years where it was like, yeah, man, he just didn't get his shine because, they had all those stud wide receivers.
Yeah. I believe someone can correct me. I believe he was a little bit more productive in college than Irv was. I also was going to float like Jonnu for doing like the double stack without the quarterback as a 3rd tight end here.
Jonnu intrigues me.
Well, if you just look who why am I blanking on the guy's name? But we talked about the usage splits last season, how condensed that offense was, and that the tight end was getting funneled all those targets and running 100% of snaps and just never did anything
Durham
with
Smythe.
it.
Oh,
Durham Smythe. Yeah, man.
I'll never forget Durham Smythe.
Yeah.
Dude, he was like 100% routes, 100%, 100%, and like would just never earn targets.
Yeah. But I kind of like that. Yeah. So we have Trey McBride stacked with our quarterback, Kyler Murray. We have Brock with Eli Mitchell. Or no, we didn't get Eli Mitchell. We have Brock with Debo. But then we have Godwin, Otten, no Baker, Jonnu, Tyreek, no Tua. And again, like if you're going to fade the quarterbacks, like Baker and Tua, probably some of the like lower ceiling guys relative to their ADP in the pool right now.
Yeah, I feel good about it.
If we did want to go a 3rd quarterback, I mean, we are probably like JJ McCarthy or bust unless there's a backdoor stack with like a Young or Daniel Jones. Otherwise,
I'd rather have naked Daniel Jones than JJ McCarthy unstacked right now.
All right, let's push QB.
Malik Washington ?
Sure.
Or Javon Baker.
Where is Malik Wash? There he is. I have not talked to me about Malik Washington.
So Malik Washington was a shout from my buddy Dave, who was in the Dog Bowl. He was telling me, he's like, if you're gonna do any big boards, said you can't leave without Malik Washington. And
Okay.
like, all right, man, I trust you. He's one of those. He's a smaller wideout, only 5'8", 194. But Dave promised me that Malik Washington is going to be a producer at the NFL level. So now, when in doubt, if I'm looking at that range of just names that I hate, just see if Malik Washington is there.
When did he give you this alpha? This was back at the Dog Bowl?
No. He was probably thinking about it at the Dog Bowl. I guarantee it.
Was it before or after he locked you out of the ETR ranks?
Yeah, this was. This was before, so now I couldn't actually fact check him, and he's just like throwing me a lemon here. Like, yeah, take Malik Washington. This guy's gonna crush. He'll probably go undrafted. No, Dave lives in Dallas, so he and I still keep in touch.
Very nice.
And he gave me this as soon as the board opened, and he's real sick. He's a real freak for these drafts. He does way more than I do.
Oh yeah. How many big boards deep are each of you guys? Or you got too much NBA stuff going on to be firing hard?
I haven't done too many. I'm at like 10 right now. And now like I'm starting to really ramp up the volume with using Pat's ranks as like a pretty like strong guardrail, just because I want to get the volume down with the, me, man. I love me some rakeback programs, and with the with the best ball rakeback and having Pat's ranks, I'm just try to fire away more at the slows. But I'm excited. I'm so excited for this biggest board. I'm gonna do all three here for sure. But NBA has been a grind for sure.
I think I'll jump a bunch of slows for big board after the dinger locks, because right now, like, I'm just trying to get up to like 75, 100 dingers.
Yeah, you got a long way to go,
dude. I'm trying, dude. I'm trying. I don't know how you guys put so much volume in. Are you guys just pushing the plane on everything? Like, when I see copper prices volume, and I see like,
well, he is pushing the plane.
Like, it's crazy, man. Like, I try my best to get like 100 NBA each day and then get like 5 dingers. And I'm like, this is exhausting. I mean, how do you guys do this?
I would tell you my secret, John, but I don't want to show you my screen time for the app and and have some wellness calls put it on me.
I think this is running back or wide receiver for us here.
Oh boy,
Peyton Hillis.
Dylan?
Yeah, I go to the lube.
Play the hits.
I mean, might as well. Like, if I'm going to have near 100% in the big board, I might as well in the biggest board.
We need a clip. We need a clip for
or
we could just like play the StreamYard rock music when we take Dylan low.
Do you know the very first clip I actually ever made way back was the Patrick Laird clip, and it was a short little TikTok one where I played a clip of him. I believe it was against the Colts, just lowering his shoulder. This had to have been, I think, his rookie year, the year he emerged down the stretch. And I just synced it up with Let the Bodies Hit the Floor. And I feel like that would work pretty well for Dylan as well.
Perfect for me.
Did we lose? Is Michael Wilson gone for our Kyler? I assume he's long gone, right? Yeah.
See, Johnny
What about
Wilson.
Dortch? Did Dortch go?
Man, yeah. The secret's out about these guys.
Who's
Johnny Daniel Wilson?
I just looked up Johnny Wilson. He's like 6'7" or 6'6". I'm in.
Isn't he like a converted tight end, or they don't know if he's going to be a tight end or wide receiver kind of guy?
They're calling him a former wide receiver in SI.
It's always a great thing when you just selected a wide receiver that he's actually retired from the position.
I got to figure out what he's doing now. There were a lot of freak athletes on display. Okay. But Johnny Wilson blew scouts and fans away after recording a 4.5 40 at 6'6" and 231. Now, what do you got to say?
No, now I love it.
He's the real Keon Coleman. Everybody's enamored with Coleman from that Florida State offense. It's Johnny Wilson you want from that Florida State offense.
So here we are. This would not have happened in a regular big board draft, just with drafters being so anchored to ADP, but you do finally get Justin Fields going at pick 221, despite having an ADP of 140. So people are paying attention because he was sitting at the top of the queue for the past 80 picks.
Wow.
Dude, I don't mind that as a third quarterback shoot the moon in the 19th round.
Yeah.
What's that quarterback room look like?
And he has Pickens. So he has Pickens and then took Herbert and Lawrence.
I thought you said Pickett. little PTSD there.
Yeah. All right. So we got to figure out who our Mr. Irrelevant is here. For the audio listeners heading into our final pick, we have a 2 quarterback build going with Kyler and Brock Purdy, both top 100 picks. I do think we're fine here with 2 QBs. We got 6 running backs going: Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, Devin Singletary, and then 3 rookies: Braylon Allen, Marshawn Lloyd, and Dylan Lube, as the kids are calling him. Wide receivers: Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel, Tank Dell, Chris Godwin, strong veteran core there. And then we are injecting some diaper dandies: Keon Coleman, Xavier Legette, Malik. I just learned about him from Nez Washington, and Johnny, don't call me a wide receiver, Wilson. We got 3 tight ends: Trey McGronk, Cade Otton, unstacked but stacked, Johnny Smith, unstacked but stacked. Fun team.
Yeah, very fun. And they called him former because he, in fact, left the university to enter the NFL draft. So we are safe. He is, in fact, wearing the wide receiver tag there.
Should we scroll the F down and have fun with our final pick here?
Yeah.
Who's fun down here for us? I have one name.
Nothing goes with lube quite like Penix.
Okay.
Jeez, I can't believe I laughed at that. This is an awesome thing now that we have the ranks.
Yeah.
And you can toggle, because this is how you can identify smart scroll the F down picks. Like, you scroll all the way down by ADP, you see Anus Smith here, who actually goes really well with Penix, as we learned previously, has a rank, but is going in this completely undrafted range. So where I scroll down, there's not a single other player that Pat has ranked. You guys want to do a little Anus Smith?
Yep. My other option was going to be a fun but boring Michael Carter, because I'm not ready to give up on the Carter.
Gotcha.
The other one for a late scroll, if you wanted to go running back, are we snoozing on the handcuff value of Emmanuel Wilson? Finally got around to reading Matthew Berry's notes from the combine there, and they sound kind of like they like the guy.
So how did that come about? Were they or like teams being interviewed about like their rosters while at the combine to kind of get a feel for what they're going to do in the draft?
More or less, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, he has some like sources. He goes to a lot of the like coach press conferences and stuff. But obviously things, change. But it's a good like sentiment check for like how the teams feel about those guys. I guess the counter would be it's like one of those things where if Josh Jacobs gets hurt, that you do just have a perfectly split backfield between him and AJ Dillon, where
For
he's
sure.
as opposed. So then you're kind of in a more of a committee. But
True.
if our thesis
that was
is,
actually that was written before the AJ Dillon re-signing too, so that's a good shout.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Has anyone figured out who are you guys, if any, are you guys selecting a backup Rams running back?
No.
I mean, the tail end of last year would have suggested that it's Ronnie Rivers, but
Yeah.
That was kind of like, remember, what was that, week 18 when we were doing the dailies and we were speculating midweek about Jordan Mason and Ronnie Rivers
Yeah.
That's right.
What a time to be alive. Well, that was fun to get the biggest board in. Again, thank you to Hope and Neumy and the squad over at Underdog for getting that up in the lobby, as well as rookies and sophomores. What do you guys got going on the channel this week?
Tomorrow we got a regular show, not a paywall show, regular show. We're going to move Friday to Thursday, and we are going to do hoops and dinger. We had a pseudo opening day in MLB this morning, I guess, like 2 or 3 a.m. In Korea there. So Shohei Ohtani got off to a good start there already. Dodgers and Padres, and they'll play one more and then come back. But we are basically a perfect week from opening day. So we got to ramp up the dinger stuff, and then we'll get into the daily MLB streets next week. We'll have plenty of time to talk about the opening day contest, hype that one up, and maybe do like a live up until lock for opening day kind of thing next week.
Nice. Sounds fun. I am going to have another video out on the Deposit Kingdom channel. Hopefully tomorrow. It is in the can, being edited now. Pulled a bunch of best ballers, streamers from around the community, got some of their favorite strategy tips for the big board, for the biggest board, all of these kind of pre-NFL draft contests. So I think that will be a fun thing if you guys are still drafting and kind of getting in the mindset for what the edges are now that the contests are getting closer to closing. Although we still have 5 weeks of drafting here before they lock on the eve of the NFL draft. So keep an eye out for that. I also think we're going to be drafting on ship chasing tomorrow night. We've done a few just kind of post free agency shows, but I believe it is time for us to collectively pop our drafting cherry. So that'll be tomorrow at 8:15. And otherwise, we will be back as always on Wednesdays, normally 2 p.m. Eastern. We bumped it up for me this week to 1:30. But you guys can catch us next time at 2 p.m. Eastern for Off and On the Clock. We'll see you guys in those biggest and big board streets.